We'll do this in 3 minutes. This is Henry Frederick of Headline Surfer, and I'm here today as the new year has begun with Dennis Dlemma, the new sheriff of Seminole County. So you were sworn in. How's it feel to be the new sheriff?
Oh, it's absolutely wonderful. It's Sheriff Esslinger swore me in earlier today in an intimate type of environment with me and my family, and just very blessed.
Now, Don Esslinger was sheriff for how many years now?
26 years, the second longest serving sheriff in Florida right now, and a great mentor to me.
So wet behind the ears you were, and that's swearing in.
Well, I tell you, he's groomed me. I've been here with the organization for 25 years, served as his chief deputy for the past 3 years, and ascended the ranks. Came from the correctional facility and served in every position, leading me to this point now where I have the privilege of leading the men and women of this organization and providing great services to our community.
Now, we had 3 choices that we narrowed our list down for Headline Surfer Top Cop of the Year for 2016. And one of the choices was Jerry Demings, the sheriff of Orange County, with the unfortunate incident with the alligator that took away the life of that little boy at Disney. The second was John Mina, the police chief in Orlando, with the Pulse massacre, the terrorism shooting, where 49 people were killed. And the third and final, when we narrowed it down, was you, Dennis Dlemma, as the chief deputy at the time. I believe it was in February when there was a man who massacred his entire family named Henry Brown. Tell us about that incident that day and what impact that had on you, and very briefly.
Well, it was first. I mean, both Sheriff Demings and Chief Mina. I mean, great law enforcement leaders, very deserving of any recognition, and they handled those incidents superbly. And me, just being a representative of the organization, really the true credit goes to the men and women that are on the front line day in and day out. But that was a horrific day. I mean, in a matter of moments, we saw an entire family, on the heels of a domestic-related incident.
Yeah, he runs his wife down at a restaurant in Lake Mary.
The level of commitment that this offender had to kill his wife and then ultimately kill his family was something that we had not seen in the past.
And then he switches vehicles, comes back with a pickup truck.
He ran over not only her,
right?
Stabbed her at the Chili's restaurant. And then when caregivers from the business pulled her to the side of the road and started
CPR,
CPR and other services, he ran them down.
Right.
Ran her over, ultimately resulting in her death at the hospital.
Then he switched cars. He shows up at the hospital, engages deputies, and
gun battle, gunfight inside the hospital. Sanford police officers and deputy sheriffs acted heroically. And ultimately, he ended up taking the lives of his 2 children inside the vehicle on
I-4.
Interstate 4.
And this is after he took off from the hospital.
He was making calls to the hospital. I mean, it really changed the procedure, how we respond to these calls, how the hospital and our partners at the hospital respond to calls like this. It's just his level of commitment. We're just so fortunate that those deputies and Sanford police officers were there at the hospital, coincidentally on other business.
Now, I know you're kind of a low-key guy, and you like to give credit to the rank and file, and especially to your mentor, Don Esslinger, who was the sheriff here for 2.5 decades. But at that night, you were the energized person. You were the leader. Speaking to a horde of media, this is a horrible. I mean, entire family wiped out. If you thought you have 2 children, you're married, right?
Right.
What was going through your mind when you're reading out the details and answering these questions from the media that night?
Well, we were on scene. The sheriff, myself, the undersheriff who was here at the time, we were on scene, and the men and women out there. I mean, this is
real.
I mean, this is definitely real, and the level of frustration and disappointment and questions about humanity and what makes people tick. I mean, it's still questions that we'll never have the answers to. We know that mental health and all of these are issues and contributing factors, and domestic violence. and awareness are all things that we need to continue to provide resources and services to.
Interaction with the courts.
So, I mean, it's really a holistic approach, and the only thing that we can do is to look at a situation like this, come back to the drawing board, and try to find ways to protect other victims and innocent people from ever experiencing this type of behavior again. It's what our pledge is, and for me, on that particular night, I was fortunate enough to serve as the spokesperson and to represent those men and women who are in the trenches on the front line.
But you've done that many, many times in Seminole County. I mean, you're one of the more active chief deputies we've ever seen in Central Florida.
Well, I appreciate that. There's a great host of my peers throughout the state. Now moving into the role of sheriff, I have great respect as a new guy coming in. That's my job, to learn as much as I possibly can. I learned at the new Sheriff's Academy that being the chief deputy and being the sheriff are two completely
Big
different
difference.
roles.
So now you've moved up. You've got what, 1,300 personnel?
Yeah, approximately 1,300 personnel.
450,000 population?
$125 million operating budget. So there's a lot of responsibilities, but I'm absolutely convinced that we have a team that is assembled here that is a group of people who I feel are the best in the business. And they know the roles, they know that the commitment that we have to the citizens that we serve. And this is not a position that I take lightly at all. I'm so excited about continuing to carry on a long legacy that was created by the men who served before me, but specifically Sheriff Don Esslinger, who served in that capacity for 26 years and is my
Well,
mentor.
I got to tell you, Esslinger had a long career, and he's an institution, just as Ben Johnson is an institution in Volusia County, having left that office as well. But the night that you handled that, the complete wiping out of that family by the estranged husband and father, I mean, those children were toddlers. One was a baby and one was a toddler. The way you handle that with such class and distinction as a father, it's just beyond explanation, beyond accolades. So you are a top cop for 2016, Dennis Dlemma, Sheriff of Seminole County. Congratulations, and God bless.
God bless you.